Against the backdrop of Mount Kilimanjaro, a herd of elephants make their way through the grasslands of Amboseli National Park in Kenya. A lone tusker is on the move too. The gentle grace of these animals is a thing of beauty. But tusker elephants are a rare breed. Some of them, known as super tuskers, have tusks that grow up to 3 meters long and weigh around 50 kilograms each, which would be about 110 pounds. Sadly, these 100-pounders, elephants with tusks that weigh at least 45 kilograms each, are scarce. Since antiquity, African elephants have been greatly affected by the ivory trade. Naturally, hunters mostly targeted the big tuskers. Hence, less than 50 super tuskers are left in Africa today. Interestingly, most of these large tuskers inhabit East Africa at national parks like Amboseli or Tsavo. In fact, the largest modern-day elephant tusks were recorded from this region. In 1898, when the ivory trade was in full swing, a native hunter discovered some huge elephant footprints near Kilimanjaro. The hunter, who worked for a notorious ivory trader, tracked down the elephant and was immediately awestruck by its impressive tusks. The hunter fired at the elephant with his muzzle loader, but ran away shortly after he took his shot. The hunter then recounted the tale to his master, who was none other than Tipu Tip. At the time, Tipu Tip was Africa's most well-known slave and ivory trader. He supplied most of the world's ivory using enslaved Africans. The next day, Tipu Tip sent several slaves to Kilimanjaro and extracted the tusks from the elephant. The tusks were taken to Zanzibar and sold to an American firm afterward. By the late 1800s, Zanzibar was the richest seaport in tropical Africa, supplying nearly 3/4 of the world's ivory. These are the famous Kilimanjaro tusks. At the time, a major ivory importing firm from the United States paid an unprecedented sum of $5,000 to obtain the tusks. This picture, taken in 1898 outside the American compound at Zanzibar, is the most famous photograph of the tusks. Depending on the source, the exact weight of these enormous tusks varies. Generally, it's said that both tusks weigh over 200 kilograms, which is around 450 pounds. The Guinness World Records website states that one tusk weighed 109 kilograms, which is around 240 pounds, while the other tusk weighed 102 kilograms, which is around 225 pounds. Both tusks were over 3 meters long. To date, these are the only tusks to exceed 200 pounds each. Although there are contemporary African elephants with impressive tusks, none have surpassed the overall weight of the Kilimanjaro tusks. For instance, in places like Tsavo, elephants are known for their big tusks, which often grow up to 2 meters or more. The longest African tusk ever recorded is 3.5 meters long and weighs 66 kilograms. While the length of the tusk is longer, the Kilimanjaro tusks were substantially heavier, with each tusk weighing around 100 kilograms. Further proof of their weight is provided in another version of the previous photograph. Here, the caption states that these are the heaviest elephant tusks ever recorded and that they weighed 450 pounds, which is around 200 kilograms. Interestingly, this picture was taken outside an American compound known as the Ivory House in Zanzibar. Within the compound, there was a giant scale that weighed all tusks before they were shipped to other countries. Sadly, the slave trade and ivory trade were interlinked. Slaves were used to carry tusks from the interior of East Africa to Zanzibar, where it was shipped to Europe, America, and even India. At the time, Zanzibar was described as the principal mart for perhaps the largest and finest ivory in the world. Another photograph of the Kilimanjaro tusk shows two African men holding each side of the tusk, while two more men support the massive tusk with their backs. The photo caption states that the tusk weighs over 200 pounds and that it was obtained from Kilimanjaro. Furthermore, William Bell, a famous ivory hunter at the time, stated that he met Tipu Tip and that the notorious ivory trader also confirmed that it was one of his slaves who killed the Kilimanjaro elephant. Bell further states that these tusks are still, as far as I know, the record. The one we have in London scales 234 pounds or thereabouts. From Zanzibar, the tusks were shipped to England. However, the tusks were sold to different parties. Hence, they were separated for over 30 years. An article from 1933 states that the British Museum purchased an exceptionally fine African elephant tusk, weighing 214 pounds, which is around 97 kilograms. The article also mentions that the tusk belonged to a very old elephant killed by an Arab in the Kilimanjaro district many years ago. The museum purchased the other tusk in 1901, 32 years before this article was published. Today, the tusks are displayed at the National History Museum in London. For decades, they were kept hidden in the museum's basement. The tusks are propped by iron brackets with the tips pointing down. Those who have seen the tusks claim they are almost symmetrical and that the tips show no signs of wear at all. Indeed, the elephant that bore these tusks possibly had an impressive shoulder height, impressive enough to move about without scraping its long tusks on the ground, both of which are over 3 meters long. Today, it's estimated that there are less than 100 tuskers across Africa. Super tuskers are rarer, with approximately 25 left in the wild. 2 elephant species are found in Africa, the savanna elephant and the forest elephant. Concerning size, forest elephants are generally half the size of savanna elephants. More notably, forest elephants have slender, downward-pointing tusks, while savanna elephants have tusks that curve outward. Although Asian elephants are smaller than African elephants, some Asian elephants have tusks measuring up to 3 meters or more. However, their tusks are slimmer and lighter than African tusks. The heaviest tusk recorded from an Asian elephant weighed 73 kilograms, which is around 165 pounds. While this weight is significant, both Kilimanjaro tusks weighed close to 100 kilograms. In the past, other records of heavy tusks were recorded from Africa. Interestingly, 2 records are from the Democratic Republic of Congo. An elephant with tusks weighing 198 pounds and 174 pounds was recorded from the Congo. Another pair of tusks weighed 177 and 168 pounds. In 1905, an elephant with tusks weighing 169 and 157 pounds was recorded from Uganda. In comparison, the heaviest tusks recorded from an Asian elephant was around 160 pounds from Nepal, but no records exceed or match the weight of the Kilimanjaro tusks. Although prehistoric creatures like the Columbian mammoth had longer and heavier tusks, the Kilimanjaro tusks may be the largest tusks from a modern elephant species. However, it's said that during the Paris exhibition in 1900, a single elephant tusk weighing 117 kilograms, which is around 257 pounds, was displayed. Supposedly, the tusk belonged to an unknown elephant from Benin. Strangely, this tusk disappeared after the exhibition. If this record is accurate, this mysterious tusk is the single largest tooth of a modern animal. Elephant tusks are large incisor teeth that protrude from the elephant's mouth. The tusks are deeply rooted, and around 1/4 of the tusk is housed within the elephant's skull. Much of the tusk is made from dentine, which is a dense, bony tissue. The entire tusk is encased by cementum. The internal dentine, which constitutes over 90% of the tusk, is the substance that is referred to as ivory. The tusk size is largely determined by genetics. Sadly, the big tusks of African elephants caught the eye of trophy hunters and ivory traders. Due to the combined effects of trophy hunting, habitat loss, and thirst for ivory, the African elephant population decreased. 100 years ago, around 10 million wild elephants inhabited the African continent. Today, the population is estimated to be around 415,000. Since the big tuskers were hunted by poachers, the vacuum was filled by elephants with smaller tusks, or tuskless elephants. Tusk size is largely determined by genetics, but there weren't many super tuskers left to pass their genes to future generations. Hence, the reason why so few super tuskers remain today. Studies have also shown that the length of tusks has decreased. A research paper published in 2015 claims that from the 1960s to the mid-1990s, the tusk length of male elephants decreased by 21%, while female elephants saw a reduction of 27%. Not only Africa, studies have revealed that the global elephant population has developed smaller tusks during the last 150 years. Experts believe that this can be attributed to poaching and other environmental factors. The threat of poaching is still relevant, with super tuskers being targeted by hunters today. The slaughter of these gentle giants is not an isolated incident. Just like other animals, tuskers are a vital part of their ecosystem. Once an animal dies, it sends a ripple effect by impacting elephant reproduction and natural selection. If this trend continues, super tuskers, or all elephants, will be relegated to memories and photographs.